Hey, animal lovers, this is Carolyn Hennesy. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Animal Magnetism. Very excited about today's episode. It is the first in our series of Behind the Scenes at SeaWorld. Animal Magnetism was so honored to get a behind-the-scenes tour of all the workings and the fun and the happenings at SeaWorld, and today is episode 1. Now, I'm going to ask you to kind of stick with it because sometimes the camera's a little shaky. Sometimes the sound's a little low. So turn up your volume and, plant yourself firmly in your chair and enjoy the show. Today's episode focuses almost solely on behind the scenes at the veterinary clinic. We meet some of the doctors, some of the caretakers, and some of the rescuers. And you're going to get to see sea lion pups who wouldn't really have had a chance without SeaWorld. So enjoy the show.
We're here at SeaWorld, about to start our behind-the-scenes tour. It's rumored that we may get to go in the pool with dolphins, or maybe penguins or sharks. It's interesting. You see all the employees taking one of these. What is it? It's a...
You need me?
I can't read it.
Okay, here you go.
Oh, it's the department.
Oh, it's their
department
schedule.
duty info. It's a schedule.
Oh, it's their schedule.
Yes, it's a daily schedule.
Well, that makes sense, because people are gonna ask these questions.
Oh, here's some smoothies, Bob.
Like when they're open, food is important.
Yeah.
See?
It's very cool. This is the belief system.
Our team members.
Our team members are our greatest strength. Cherishing and nurturing the animals in our care educates and inspires others to make a difference. Nothing truly exceptional is accomplished without passion. Innovation is found where persistence meets creativity. Communication will be clear, concise, frequent, and honest. Good work. Pride is crucial to our success. Pride in yourself, your team, and your company. Integrity is the basis of everything we think, say, and do. Leadership is about serving your fellow team members. Our commitment to safety and quality will never be taken for granted. Our parks are a fun place to work. Simplicity and focus drive long-term results. Work-life balance is essential. I think the most important thing, cherishing and nurturing the animals. That's exactly what this place does, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Let's go. Okay, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Dave
Hi, how are
Kuntz.
ya?
Tell us just a little bit about yourself, Dave.
My name is Dave Kuntz, and I'm the Director of Communications here at SeaWorld San Diego. Been here for 12 years, and I can't think of a better place to hang my hat every day. This is an absolutely wonderful
The
place.
man communicates. Let's go communicate. Let's go. Well, don't think I don't know.
Kelly.
Kelly!
Carolyn,
So lovely
good
to know
morning.
you.
Good
How
morning,
are you?
Andrea.
Very
Hello,
nice to
hello.
meet you.
This is Alex here.
Hi. Alex. Kelly, tell us a little bit about yourself. Just a little bit.
I'm in love with Shamu. I work here at SeaWorld, and he's my boss, and he's the best boss in the world.
Fantastic.
Welcome to
All right.
SeaWorld.
All right. But don't think I don't know.
San Diego is the original SeaWorld.
Right.
We just had our 50th celebration, or our 50th anniversary just last year, so we'll be 51 years old in March. And one of the interesting things about this park is that we have what's called the SeaWorld Hub SeaWorld Research Institute, which is a nonprofit research institute. It was actually created a year before SeaWorld opened up. So the nonprofit side of the house opened up before the profit side.
No,
of the
why
house.
is that? Why is that?
Because the founders of SeaWorld and the founders of the
This
Hub
was
SeaWorld
the four
Research-
guys, right?
Mhm.
4 dudes.
They wanted to be able to start to give back to the environment, to nature, and over the years, a lot of the research that has taken place with animals here at SeaWorld. And in fact, one of the
Fantastic.
folks we're going to talk to back here, Dr.
Fantastic.
Henry Nolan.
So the research came before the fun part.
Right. And one of the things we've always said is, and it's pretty much part of education, is that the best way to learn is when you're having fun.
It's the only way to learn. I mean, you hear stories constantly about kids who are bored in class because they're not being stimulated, enriched, and they miss out on the education because it's not sparking something within. But I couldn't agree more.
We're going to the hospital first here
is our zoological area here.
This is the zoological area. Like,
One of our fish houses. Getting all the
ooh,
diets
smells
prepared.
good. Smells good.
All the diets prepared.
All the diets for the animals are being prepared.
I may have asked you to take this back because it's making noise.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to get on here. So.
Okay. Okay, everyone. Where we've just come in is it's fascinating. It's sterile. It's clean. I mean, we're not going to go in, but let's just take a look right here. You see, it's almost like a doctor's office.
It is a doctor's office.
It is hey, there's somebody new here. Hello, new person. Hi, I'm Carolyn.
Hendrik, nice to meet you. I'm on a defense here.
What's your name?
Hendrik.
Hello, Hendrik. How are you? This is Andrea. Where is Andrea?
Hi.
Andrea. Hi, Andrea. Hendrik,
Nice to meet
nice to meet you.
Okay, tell us things about yourself and what do you do?
I am one of the veterinarians here at San Diego, and you just walked into a very clean and sterile hospital, like you said.
Yeah, it looks
you
like
can come in here.
it looks like an operating room.
It does. It's actually, here, let me give it a little bit of light. It's actually a lot like your veterinary practice that you go to with your dog or your cat. We do all the same things. You know, we're set up for anesthesia and everything. The two big differences between our hospital here and probably any other vet practice in vet hospital in San Diego is that everything's on wheels. Even our surgery table, our X-ray unit, so our endoscopy tower. So when we can, we take our equipment to the pool instead of bringing the animals here.
Oh,
Because
fantastic.
it's easier on the animals.
Sure.
And the other part is the big garage door. I don't think there's any other vet practice in San Diego that has this big
A big garage door, yes.
So that we can wheel in Jody's big sea lions and
Races on the table.
sometimes put a grill in here.
SeaWorld after hours. Can the swivel chair beat the table?
Yeah, speakers
Sometimes
come
you
out.
gotta do it.
Exactly. I see this as party central. I want to see that. I want to see this at Christmas time.
Yeah.
Well, this is wonderful. It looks exactly. This is for blood draw.
Yeah, everything. So we do, this is what we call our treatment room, general treatment room, and then next door we have our sterile surgery. So this is where we do any procedure. If it's injections, radiographs, basic anesthesias, gastroscopies, you name it, anything that is a standard procedure that's done in here. And then if an animal actually needs a sterile surgery, we have our surgery suite here as well.
Now, Henry,
Roll animals into.
is this is for the animals in the care of SeaWorld right now? But what about for rescue animals?
Yeah.
They also come here. So this is for rescue animals and animals currently in human
So
care.
we are responsible for our collection animals, which is around about 25,000 animals. The majority of them are fish, but they still receive health care. You know, we still do. Just 2 days ago, we did anesthesia on an arowana fish that was found in the radiographs. So we still provide veterinary care for them.
Let's talk about this. What's going on here on this table?
Those are Jody's.
Do you want to say the exam later here? Because we're going to be back here for a while. That'd be easier if you want to set it out here. And Andrea set her stuff down on here too. Makes it easier. I'm Jody, by the way.
How are you?
Carolyn. Nice to meet you. Pleasure.
Okay, so what have we got here that looks really, really daunting?
Yeah, this is all human interaction stuff. So the majority of the animals we rescue are malnourished and emaciated, but the ones that tear at our heartstrings a little bit are the ones that we have to rescue only because their stranding has been caused by some sort of human interaction. This is a lobster pot that obviously didn't get picked up by one of the fishermen. It stayed and it rolled in the surf line, picked up a lot of monofilament line, a bunch of hooks, lures. We found it on the head of a harbor seal. So we were able just to take this off the head of the harbor seal, rehabilitate it, and then return that to the wild. This one, there's one that's out if you want, just be real careful, it's got a sharp edge. This one and this one are fishing gaffs. That one was still attached to the 12-foot long pole, and do you know what a fishing gaff is? Have you ever used them?
Let's talk about what's a fishing gaff.
So off of our local coast, the tuna fishermen, when they're pulling in their nets full of tuna, will use these to bring the tuna onto the ship.
Got it.
Sea lions, smart, opportunistic animals, see a net full of tuna, and they start trying to get the tuna too. Unfortunately, sometimes they do end up with the gaff
Sea lion with a gap.
Yeah, this one we found in the hip of a sea lion. We were able to remove it. Dr. Nolans was able to successfully rehabilitate him, and we returned him to the wild. This one, unfortunately, was in the shoulder blade of an animal. It was extremely necrotic, and Dr. Nolans can speak more to what happened with that animal.
Necrotic dead flesh.
Yeah, it was a very deep wound and had really, the infection had eaten away the muscle of the front of the animal, so there was a
Let's just make a
bad
point
situation.
that when you take an animal from the wild that has been injured, you return it to the wild.
Absolutely, 110%, that's the
If
goal.
it is at all possible.
Absolutely.
The goal is to be able to return it to the wild.
That's the goal, and that's the reward for us.
Of
We know
course.
from the beginning that's what we're working
Of course.
towards, so that's the best day.
Of course, of course. It kind of reminds me of an elephant bull hook. Something pointy and sharp. Disgusting. Oh, I'm sorry, was that me?
This I want to talk to you about because working here at SeaWorld has definitely influenced not just my professional life, but my personal life, and I've changed my habits. I don't think if I worked here, I'm originally from South Dakota, a lot of my personal habits would have changed if I hadn't been impacted or influenced by the things I've seen here. So these are fishing hooks that were removed from the stomach of one California sea lion. There ended up being over 80 of them.
A single sea lion.
A single sea lion. And again, these are opportunistic animals, so most likely this is an animal that was sitting underneath a pier, picking off the bait fish, but unfortunately he also was getting the hooks. So I like to eat fish, I like to go fishing, but what this has done is it's made me change my habits. The fishing industry is getting more and more eco-conscious, and they've started to make biodegradable hooks, which are they're a little more expensive than the regular hooks.
I have no idea.
No, and they're hard to find, so it is something you have to be committed to and looking for. So again, you don't need to change your habit if you like to go fishing, but just the way you do it, or
Would never have known that had I not been speaking with you.
Yeah,
No
and
idea about biodegradable.
yeah. And I'm not real good at casting my line out, so a lot of times I'll get that big backlash and monofilament
Oh, trust
line.
me. I used to go fishing with my father, and there was nobody except him who was going to bait my hook. But this was like walleye crop up in Wisconsin. It's like, I'm sorry, ain't gonna put a night crawler. Ain't gonna touch a night crawler. But my father would have been very interested to know about biodegradable ones because he was quite efficient. But all of these in one animal.
All these in one animal, and then the monofilament line, a lot of people just have the habit of throwing it off and over the pier or off and over the side of their boat, and it just becomes debris in the ocean. The way we see it come back is on the necks of these sea lions in just one single strand, and we'll show you some that we actually have in the house that have been impacted by monofilament line. But one single strand of that fishing line, that's the kind of damage it can cause. So again, just dispose of it properly.
That's exposed flesh. Right
You'll
there.
see some two live animals actually that have an identical injury right here.
Really, that you have rescued.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, having started this journey about 8 years ago, me preserving, conserving in the real world,
Yeah.
not in the batshit. My attitude changed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to eat factory farmed eggs. I'm going to get fresh eggs or I'm not going to eat them. I'm not going to eat factory farmed meat. I am, it's like, farmed fish, not interested. Everything has to be so specific, so I've basically become a vegetarian.
Just by
If
trying,
not
yeah.
even a vegan.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
just by learning.
Yeah.
Learning. And it's been heartbreaking, you're right. But a lot of it has been so much fun.
It
so
is, and
interesting.
people forget how easy it is to change your habits, because they'll always ask us, what can we do to make a difference? And
Right.
I mean, these are just simple things you can do. I don't think they really realize too how, especially in the state of California, it's amazing how much it's preached to use reusable bags. I don't have a great photograph of it, but here's why. So we've had plastic bags wrapped around the necks of sea lions.
This is not a bandana.
No.
That's a plastic bag.
And for us girls, the reusable bags are a little bit of a fashion statement too, so there's that bonus and perk too.
Absolutely, of course.
Yeah,
Listen,
you gotta think about all the
Absolutely.
angles of why
Make
it's
it
great.
yours.
Make it yours.
Make it
So
yours.
there's simple changes that people can do every day that will help with the ecosystems and with these animals in the wild. And I don't know if I didn't work here at SeaWorld or wasn't influenced and educated by SeaWorld if I would have necessarily known or made those changes in my personal life.
Well, if you don't see it, it's out of sight, out of mind. If you don't see it and you're not aware of it.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know what, people? Something as simple, if it's the one thing you do, cut up the plastic that you take off of your six-pack. Cut it up, just make no little holes, because you've got birds.
Yeah.
You've got fish coming back with it, just choking, strangled.
Yeah. The skunks and the yogurt. Yogurts are another big one. People eat yogurt. cut the bottoms out or squish them. Squish them's the best thing because the small varmints like the skunks and the possums, they like the yogurt
And
too.
they get
They
it
like
caught.
they get caught on
They
their
get
head.
it caught.
Yeah, so it's just
No,
simple, easy things.
It's interesting because we were talking about this on the way down. If you don't know, you cannot continually blame yourself. But once you do know, if you don't change, then it's seriously bad karma coming to you.
Yep.
Seriously.
At that point, you make a choice.
At that
And I think
point,
what Jody's getting at too is that you don't have to go vegetarian or vegan
No,
to make a difference.
no.
You can do little things as simple as you go for a walk on the beach, you see trash, and you just pick it up.
Pick it up.
Because the animal that lives in the ocean doesn't know this is trash.
Right.
And you
Right.
come check it out. And
Right.
taste it, you might eat it.
Exactly.
You might not
Exactly.
like it. And those are little things that are very small efforts that make
But-
can save lives.
But if everyone makes the small effort, if everyone just does one thing, it could be a planet turnaround. I mean, it
Absolutely.
really could be. It could be, but we have to start with ourselves. So what else do we have on this table?
We have some bullets and some buckshot.
Oh, hello, California condor.
Yes. This is buckshot. That one's a little cloudy, but here's some bullets that Dr. Nolans has been able to remove from animals.
Because people have shot.
Yes. So last year, we rescued 270 animals, a little over 270, and we had 12 confirmed bullet or buckshot wounds to those animals.
When you say, okay, let's say animals, we're talking
California sea lions.
sea lions.
Primarily California sea lions.
That people have shot.
That people have shot. It has been seen in dolphins along the coastline too, but not last year, from which I was speaking to.
Just, and this is probably, I don't think with what we're trying to do here, there are any stupid questions. Why would someone want to shoot a California sea lion?
I don't understand that myself. And I'd hate to say why anyone would want to shoot a California sea
I
lion.
don't understand
but-
why anyone would shoot anything,
Yeah.
unless you're living 500 years ago and you're an Eskimo and you need it. You know what I mean? Unless you're,
Yeah. Sometimes they can be viewed as nuisance animals, so that may be one of the reasons that they're getting shot, but we don't know. We just know we see it and we're gonna treat it.
of course, of course, of course.
And then we wanna educate people about why we don't.
At least 12. Those are only of the 270 we took in that we found bullets in 12. The majority of those animals don't get radiographed because they don't need it.
They don't, okay, so they're healthy enough that they don't get radiographed.
Yeah, so there may be many more bullets.
And
Plus,
radiographing is a version of an X-ray.
X-ray, yes.
Okay,
And
got it.
that's how we find the bullets. That's the first way to find the bullets. Now, there are probably also quite a few sea lions who get shot and don't make it to ground.
Shot and don't make it to the beach, of course.
12 animals must be a huge understatement of how many sea lions
Exactly.
are shot
Exactly.
regularly in just San Diego.
That you, in San Diego County alone, that you were able to rescue
Confirm.
David.
And to confirm, yeah, because we can usually look at the wounds and maybe suspect, and then Dr. Knowles will take x-rays to confirm.
We can show you some actually. Some of
We will. Tell me, while we're just standing here before we look at some more of this amazing equipment and we talk about what that is. Tell me about you. How did you get started? Why are you here? Where did you come from? I'm sensing a Wisconsin accent.
No, it's much more exotic than that. I'm from Belgium.
From Belgium.
Yeah,
I've
from
got-
Belgium,
okay.
and that's where I went to vet school. And actually, growing up, I couldn't decide if I wanted to be a marine biologist or a veterinarian. We had a small local dolphinarium that now actually also doesn't exist anymore in Bruges. And I went there as a kid. That's what it was. Go see a dolphin, sea lion.
That's where the bond started.
Yeah. So I wanted to become a marine biologist. Growing up in Belgium, we have about 40 kilometers of coastline. It's very polluted. There are no jobs for marine biologists. So my other thing was a veterinarian. So my parents told me to get a useful degree, so I went to vet school.
Yeah, my mom asked me to type.
advice.
She
Good advice.
said learn to type.
Yeah, exactly. So I went to vet school and worked as a veterinarian for a while, but then actually had the opportunity at some point moved to New Zealand and did a master's in marine biology. My master's was on the disease of aboriginal dolphins, the shelter.
Sure.
Yeah, and started working for them, and that was really from there it all started. I became more and more involved in the marine mammal world. Came here to the University of Florida. That was how I ended up in the United States grad school. University of Florida is the only veterinary school that has a dedicated program to marine mammal health, or specifically marine mammals. And then started doing research with SeaWorld. Actually, I was an outside collaborator. I was one of the many researchers who did research projects with SeaWorld. SeaWorld, people like Jody or pathologists, collect samples and submit them to these outside researchers and do projects with them and publish papers on
Just
them.
one or two of the research projects that you like. For instance, what were you researching?
And my biggest project, my PhD PhD project was on pox viruses that sea lions get or come in with during rehabilitation. So it was stranded animals.
Pox viruses that sea lions come in with
In
during
rehab centers.
in the rehab centers, and how to prevent those pox viruses from spreading to the population at
Exactly.
large
It wasn't.
within SeaWorld.
No, and this
Within-
was nationwide.
Oh, okay.
Nationwide, but SeaWorld was one of the two main suppliers of sandwiches.
Got
And
it.
so we were trying to answer a number of questions. Above all, it was ultimately the big question was, are we making sure that we're not doing any harm by releasing animals that have this infection back into the wild?
Back
Are
into
we
the wild.
introducing these back into the wild? Because, you know, the goal that we have is to help the individuals, to help the population. Now we want to make sure that we don't actually slip back something into the wild.
You've created a healthy animal, you don't want to send it back in to infect the population at
Exactly.
large.
So that was ultimately the big question of my project. But there we go.
Got it, sure.
And then after that, I continued to be a virus hunter. You know, there's actually very little known about infectious diseases of marine mammals. It's surprising. Nobody really we're still pioneering it. When we diagnose, and we actually, so much of it, if an animal comes in, we can actually diagnose this animal has this cause, that bacteria each year.
Let me ask you a question. How much, because from what I'm given to understand, 95% of the ocean life, of the marine population period, lives in that 2 to 5 mile strip off. So how much would you say we have contributed to something like the pox that mankind with the syringes and the condoms and the tankers and the human waste? What would you say?
It depends on the disease problem. Something like a pox virus is actually part of a natural cycle.
Okay.
You know, each host has a set of bacteria and parasites that live with it, and we will evolve that way. Where it gets different is when we start building on beaches, which means that we displace a certain colony onto, instead of hauling out on sand, they're hauling out on rocks. Now that changes exposure.
Now they're hauling out on the concrete and someone's patio. Yes.
Exactly. And so we do affect a lot of things that way. So a lot of times still unknowingly. And then there are many more obvious signs. You know, we talked about trash in the ocean. We talked about a very famous one is toxoplasma in sea otters. Toxoplasma is a little parasite that infects sea otters and it infects their brain neurologically, and ultimately they die. The best we can tell, it actually comes from a cat litter that is flushed down the toilet.
Don't flush your cat litter. Figure out something else to do with it.
It's there are many examples, but that's a very famous and above all, it's a well-studied one. It's one that there's actually pretty solid evidence. There are many more that we suspect is human interaction, human involvement. Blooms, algal blooms.
Yes.
Is
Say that again?
Algal blooms.
Algal blooms.
algal blooms are a type of plankton that is normal in the ocean, but every now and then it just blooms. It just like it reproduces and forms these literally visible clouds in the water.
Oh,
Like red tide, think of like red tide. Yeah, when the weather conditions are just so right.
Algae that grows exponentially.
Yeah.
Blooms.
And some of them produce a toxin. And then when that happens, we get sea lions that are neurological, that are seizuring, that are just.
It moves its way up the food chain, so there's a naturally occurring toxin in the algal blooms. The bait fish eat it, like the sardines and the anchovies, and we're still unclear on how it affects the fish, but they become carriers of this toxin, and if the sea lions eat enough of it, what we then see is sea lions on the beach that are having seizures. It looks like they're walking up sets of stairs that aren't there. They're just walking, and all of a sudden they just fall over. And we need to get to them as quickly as we can and flush that toxin out.
And you've got ways of doing that.
Absolutely.
Here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like the things I think Dr. Nolans was bringing up is, you asked the question, how are we as humans really impacting the ocean environment and ecosystem? And he used the word pioneering. We really don't know yet. We're just touching on it. And marine mammals have really only been studied for about the last 50 years. If we don't count what was going on with the whaling industries, without zoos and oceanariums like SeaWorld, we might not know a lot about this stuff.
And the thing is, and I don't count what was going on with the whaling industry.
Yeah,
Because they couldn't care less about anything with regard to research. It was blubber and skin and, that was it. Oh, I agree.
Yeah, I think that's what we
it's only
want
been in the
to
last
know.
15 years, well, as well as you should. I mean, you get to work.
We get to invent stuff.
You get to invent stuff.
We get to do science.
I know you did not invent that.
That's one of those
What
natural science.
are these things
So these are parasites that are found within the seals and sea lions that we rescue. A little bit of whale lice.
Are you kidding me? What have I got? What am I holding
So
in my hand?
they naturally have these parasites. They get it from their diet, from the food that they eat. But when they become extremely malnourished, sometimes they can get overrun with these parasites. And then when we get them, Dr. Noah's is really famous for asking us
Is
for
this
fecal
a
samples.
sing-
Is that right? I thought you were going to go and she asked you about what you studied. I'm
Actually-
like, going to bring up the fecal samples.
Actually,
He's gonna
because
bring up the fecal
I
samples.
saw a little smile pass between you, and
Yes,
I thought it's going one of two places, and it didn't go either. Is this a single worm? Is this a single species?
It could be, but I think it's
We'd have to
multiple in
separate
there.
it out, yeah.
And what's
It can't get
this?
long.
What are these?
Listen, well, I did not know until I started working at SeaWorld and learned about this stuff that whale and marine mammals could get lice. I did not know lice could survive in the wild, and look how huge those whale lice are.
External or internal?
External. So these
External-
actually
external
are, they
lice.
are specific to gray whales. When you see gray whale on photo come out and they have these white patches on their nose, those are all lice.
No kidding.
Yeah, they have these calluses, these mounds, and they just congregate around them. And they are on the calves within hours of being born.
But it's also
They
important.
migrate from the mother to the calf. Oh, look,
And
the
they eat
flesh.
the dead skin.
They eat the dead skin. So, okay. So is that, because I remember being in Thailand and sticking my feet into a tank
Dr.
and,
fish.
and the doctor fish. I screamed for 5 minutes. It's the weirdest sensation in the entire world. But it was eating all the dead skin.
Yeah.
Apparently I had a lot.
Yeah.
So are they harmful or beneficial to the whale?
Probably neither.
Neither.
They're just on the whale's head. I don't know if you would do a lot of harm by just knocking them off. Maybe they would build up a little
Okay.
bit more. dead skin.
But it is important for us to know about these because when we come across whales that have been tangled in fishing gear or fishing line out in the wild, if we look at them, we can start to see a parasite load on them or in their wounds, and the color of the parasites also tells us probably how long that animal's been entangled and its health condition. The more parasites we see, like the lice, the more red or brown the coloration of those parasites, we know that is an animal that's been entangled for a long period of time. They probably isn't doing very well.
And
Yes.
the swimming motion probably
Yes,
sloughs
so
off some of
we need to get to it. So even just something as small and neat and unusual as lice can tell us a lot about an animal's health.
You know, comparatively, that's a lice the size of a.
Yeah, and the boys, when we're rehabilitating these animals, I work with a lot of 30 to 40 to 50-year-old men. They revert to 12 years old because we have to sometimes hold and support the whales and the dolphins so that we can take care of them. And the boys like to pick the lice off and put it in the girl's hair. And yeah, so it's all, it all comes full circle. Yes. This is something I wanted to show you too, because when Dr. Knowles was talking about pioneering, when we rescue dolphins and whales and they're on the beach, most of the time they can't swim or support themselves. And every time we rescue a whale or dolphin, we learn something new and how to do it better the next time. When we have to support them in the water around the clock, that's stressful for the animal. They're not used to having a human right next to them and supporting them. So one of the guys we work with actually developed a life jacket. So it supports the animal, it can float on its own, and we don't have to be in the water with it all the time. That is less stressful for this animal while we're rehabilitating it. So even just stuff as simple and fun as thinking of how can we make a life jacket to keep this animal afloat is another fun part of our job.
You guys really are pioneers.
And you have to know what those animals need. You have to know that a dolphin that lives won't eat. You have to know that
A dolphin that lives.
if they're on their side, they're not
Won't
trying to
eat.
eat because they're panicked. It's normal for them. So it's because these people this person has worked with dolphins for so many years, understands what the dolphin eats, what is it good say. Put a person in the water, it's threatening. Who is this alien in my environment? If they are swimming sideways, they will inhale water, they have pneumonia, they won't eat. So the animal's much better off with that life jacket, but you have to know that that's what the animal is.
So at SeaWorld, because and every animal's different.
Yes.
Just like human beings, every single animal is different, different personalities, different needs. So necessity is truly the mother of invention here. You guys have all the tools to invent.
It's one of the best things about being here at the park. And then we have, so this, I don't know if you know much about the Marine Mammal Health and Stranding Response Program, because it is a nationwide program.
Marine mammal
Health and Stranding Response Program. So this is a government program, and we are a participant in it. But it's only been around since the 1970s. SeaWorld was rescuing and rehabilitating marine mammals before there was a Marine Mammal Protection Act.
1963.
Yeah, and before there was a government organized agency. because we have all of these great tools on site, we're able to help these animals, and we want to also help our partners in that network. So for example, today we have one of the facilities from Santa Barbara coming down, and we're going to donate a lot of fish to them because they're seeing as many stranded animals as we are. We have another facility today that had rescued a harbor seal pup. They don't have a lot of experience with harbor seal pups, so they're going to bring it down and we're going to help them out, and we're going to rehabilitate that harbor seal pup.
And
So
in the process, teach them
yes.
about what
Yes.
you guys do here, what equipment they might need to
Yes.
get, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not
It's a
just
great
it's not just
partnership.
rescuing the pup, but it's teaching, it's teaching the man to fish, so they can go back up and rescue more. Right, exactly.
And it's not just for SeaWorld. In general, zoos have the specialized equipment, because it takes cranes, custom-made stretchers, or whatever to handle them, to move them out. So it's not just the specialized equipment, then also having the staff that knows how to treat them, how to feed them. Even just knowing does it often eat.
Of course. What does it all?
Take it off to the stand as a small animal veterinarian. What species of fish do they eat?
Right.
And so just having, if it wasn't for zoos, they had the logistical resources, the equipment, the pools, and the staff that knows how to do it, keep these animals. It wouldn't be really hurt.
No,
It's
of
not to
course
the
not.
level.
Of course not. Of course not. And I mean, I go back to the fact that we need to read it. Nature will take care of itself, right? But since the advent of man, especially in the last 200 years, post the Industrial Revolution and what we are dumping, we need zoological institutions like SeaWorld, like Busch Gardens, like the Georgia Aquarium, Santa Barbara. Look what they're doing up there with I'm sure limited resources, certainly nothing like SeaWorld. Because we're screwing it up, so we now have to take responsibility and rescue and rehabilitate.
Absolutely. It was humans are the reason why these animals stranded, but humans are also the reason why these animals are getting a second chance.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you just nailed it on the head.
Exactly.
Look, X-ray.
An X-ray, a big old X-ray,
Big old
GE.
X-ray.
Oh, I'm so glad I own stock in GE. And it's able to.
They are very long lived.
Yeah, exactly. And it's able to move this way and this way and then all this way.
Yeah, we can, so any animal, once it's anesthetized, we can move this all the way around the room. So sometimes our animals are too big to fit on the table.
Yeah.
We can actually anesthetize them on the
You
floor.
can move the table out of the way. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Do you want to see some of the animals we've rehabilitated that we currently have in-house that we've rescued?
I wonder. Huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is fantastic. Oh, and then, okay, now what's in here?
This is the sterile surgery.
This is the sterile surgery.
It's actually
We're just gonna go and take a look.
Anybody who's ever had surgery, in this case, we have the exact same
Oh,
setup.
look at the lights.
Yeah. So it's, the lights, there's actually a neat part of this. So it's more than just a surgery. We actually have, so even when we're in here doing surgery, we're still trying to educate. That light and that angle, we have to have a camera in here. So if we have an animal on the table and we're performing whichever procedure, we have a light. This camera feeds to the screen outside, but also to the screen that's going outside of the building. We put in these floors through the windows because we get tours coming through here. So instead of everybody can
Not
see
like everybody can see it, but now you've got it on film so that if Dayton, Ohio, if an aquarium anywhere else around the world needs to know how to perform this particular ceremony. This particular surgery. It's kind of like a ceremony. This particular surgery, you can send it anywhere.
And there's two things there. One is we don't hide anything.
You don't hide anything.
We don't hide anything.
No.
Whatever people say, we're completely on display. We don't hide anything. Secondly, whatever we do, we can tell the people about it. We have an educated with it. We can talk about it. This pelican is in here.
Sure.
He's currently in surgery opening his stomach because it has fissures in his stomach.
Because it has fish hooks. Anyone here a fisherman? Exactly. When people start getting there, that's a machine. That's amazing. This equipment is just fabulous. It's surgical gowns.
Yeah, extensions for our table in case the table is too small.
What's the largest animal that you personally have ever had in here?
An 860-pound dolphin.
An 860-pound dolphin. Okay. Let me ask you a question just before we go.
And when Jody gets sad, she snuggles with me. We actually use this for education. We have a lot of kids that come through here. And a lot of the programs we have are tailored for younger.
Well,
And actually
good.
having to be able to have a sea lion on the table and you show them how the bandage is different and so on, it connects much better with the story.
Listen, you know what? what we're saying is we have to start with the next generation.
Yes, absolutely.
We got some fancy attire.
John Ryan.
I'm sorry, you're the what at SeaWorld?
Park president here.
You're the park president of
Yeah.
SeaWorld. Park president of SeaWorld. So thank you so much for having us today. Are you kidding? Please, this is our honor. Uh-oh.
Yes.
Things are happening. Things are happening.
I'm gonna put those on over your. You guys are headed there.
I would love for people to see this though, because what's going to happen is that they're going back out with a chance to survive.
Three cages are headed out before.
Those three cages?
Now this guy just come in yesterday, so he's not.
So if we have a little help, he's all.
To get our fence.
So again, these animals don't understand that we're trying to help them, so you can see them wearing the personal protective equipment because they're trying to fight. And then, like we were talking about before, they do have zoonotic diseases. So what that basically means is some of the ailments that these animals have are contagious to humans. So one of the things we always try to educate people on is the best thing you can do for a marine mammal if you see it on the beach is to leave it alone. Don't approach it, because one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to scare it into the water and we can't get it the help it needs, or because it doesn't understand your good intentions and you want to help it, it may bite us.
Out of fear, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I could assume probably what they made it up with. This is not a cord. It's a little bit of a flash.
Now this one, does it know what's happening with this one?
So let's leave that one. Grab a new, start new, 50%.
It's
400. So when
the way these people are working on these animals, it's an emergency room. It's an emergency room with people who care only about animals. Probably not terribly well paid, any of them. Donate. Oh, are we moving? Okay, all right.
But what they were about to do is give food to hydrate. That helps with the hydration. So we're going to tube it when they come in. They get
Got it.
So the most crucial part of it initially doing is provide hydration. These animals are so sick, so weak that they don't eat on their own. So when they first come in, we actually feed them 3 times a day by an extra tube. So 3 times a day.
Well, not intravenous, but I mean, it's like somebody else who's so starved and they need intravenous fluids.
Exactly the same thing. So here 3 times a day, we use a chlorogastric tube, a tube that gets passed through the stomach, and there's a formula that we over the years have developed for our sea lions and us that we know works for when we have to hand raise animals. And so basically, it's the same formula we have.
Yeah, because these guys were all really
So each animal, as soon as it comes in, we know it's weight.
Because depending on weight, it's the percentage of this and it's the ratio of this. And
Most medications are milligram per kilogram system.
Medications are weight based. I'm just saying. Oh, hello, pretty. Oh, hi, gorgeous. Okay. All right. No?
These are temporary holding pools, so these animals are on here for one reason or another. Actually, in here you have a mom and a baby. She's about 2.5 old, and she was and we'll call feeder in 2 weeks.
These are the animals that are going out today. This is the monofilament line that you disentangled.
Oh, this is the one for oh, gotcha. Oh, right. Hello, baby.
He's ready to go home. He's going home today.
Yeah. If you
going
like if we
home.
let a little sun on it, you'll see if we actually have the things iron in that. This is a gill net. It was wrapped around the animal's neck.
If we can see a little bit of sunlight, this is the same animal.
Probably cracked the gate on that side if you pick your head up.
He's pretty healthy, Doc.
Yeah?
Okay.
Let's just say he wasn't really happy to go in.
But this is the same animal that had the monofilament with the open wound.
Yeah, sure.
And he's all healed. Uh-oh.
You're going to get closer than you want.
Risky. Hey, buddy.
If you want, we're going to see if we can crack this end a little bit. Just be ready to come through here.
There you go.
I think we got it.
Okay.
He's
That's why I said we
I'm
went
gonna
back on.
take this for a second.
I'll give you what I can, but
he's a wild animal. Yeah, I can go home.
So yeah, this animal was picked up. This is an animal that we had monitored for a couple of weeks, couple of months, here off the coast of La Jolla, and we had seen the injury, but it was never in a spot where we could actually get to it. Finally, this week, it was on the beach, hauled out somewhere, and our rescue team was able to pick him up. It's a young male, and you can see he has a scar still. On intake, we hydrated him, stabilized him for anesthesia the following day, and then under anesthesia, we were able to remove a section of gill net that had grown into this
That had
animal's
grown
neck.
into his neck.
Yeah. This very lucky animal. There was nothing, none of the vital structures or the vital organs, the nerves, blood vessels were damaged. So,
And
he was doing
it
well.
didn't damage his throat or his esophagus.
No, it was still a superficial wound.
Got it.
The problem with this type of injuries is that as the sea lion continues to grow, they actually grow into the fishing gear, and it constricts more and more and more, and eventually it does. So he's lucky we got to him soon enough.
Come on up in here. There's something I want to show you that I think your friend Gray would appreciate too. Hi. Oh, look at this face. So this is where I'm going to nerd out on you a little bit because I think this is super cool.
I was hoping you would nerd out.
I've been waiting.
Oh wow. Yes.
Your fashion statement of the day. So if you look in this quarantine area, you see the small animal right there? It's a Guadalupe fur seal. So that is a species that was thought to be extinct all the way up until the late 1940s. And when I first started my career here, I probably didn't see one come through the rescue area for about 5 or 6 years. And then from then we'd see 1 to 2 a year. Now we're starting to see 5 a year. So their population is growing.
That's great.
But not a lot is known about them. So SeaWorld's rescue program is not just about rescuing, rehabilitating them, and returning them to the wild. It's also about conserving the species. Not just saving this one animal, but they're conserving their entire ecosystem. So this animal, before its return, will get a satellite transmitter put on him. That satellite transmitter will tell us the location of where she goes, how deep she's diving, how long she's diving, and the temperature of the water she's in. So we can learn too what they're eating and feeding on, because it's not just about saving the Guadalupe fur seal. We need to save the fish that they're eating. We need to save the ecosystem that they're in. And to have an animal that was thought to be extinct and didn't be able to see it is amazing. And there's a northern fur seal in too. So both those species, the Guadalupe fur seal and the northern fur seal, were almost hunted to extinction for their fur, and they are now both threatened species. And the northern fur seal, he's a little bit harder to see because he's in the water. We'll also get a satellite transmitter on him when he's returned to the wild.
So, but what's interesting is that they've made it off the list of extinct to now threatened.
Yes, exactly.
Which
Yep.
is it's not good, but it's coming up.
But it just proves that we can make a difference.
There's still only 10,000 person.
Yeah.
And one of the neat stories is that one of the first team that in the 1940s found a little pocket of Guadalupe person still alive. One of them was a Hub SeaWorld scientist.
Yep.
One of them was the founder of the Hub SeaWorld Research Institute.
One of the four.
One of the four. And the most that is known about Guadalupe fur seals is the work has been done through SeaWorld and Hub SeaWorld Research Institute. So I love that. That's my nerd out moment.
You know what? Nerd, and listen, is that your only one?
Oh, I got a lot, but that's my
nerd out
that's
the
my
entire
pride
day.
right there.
Listen, and being from Los Angeles, I'm just going to give a little shout out to the LA Zoo and
Absolutely.
the California Condor program. That they've been
Absolutely.
doing. I mean, there were what, 12 in known, and
Yep.
now there are like 234, and it's only because of the work that's being done at the Los Angeles Zoo. This is only because of the work that's
The
being done.
oceanariums and zoos, it's such a small group, or it feels like it. We feel like a family, small group. We work together a lot. We work a lot locally with the San Diego Zoo, the Safari Park. It's a great, it feels like a family unit. It really does. And everybody has a common goal.
Well, and the common goal is preservation, conservation in the real world.
Absolutely.
In the real world.
Absolutely.
And that's why places like SeaWorld,
Yep.
San Diego Zoo, like anything, any modern zoo or aquarium.
Well, people forget there's a symbiotic relationship too. If
Right.
we didn't know what was normal for a California sea lion, we wouldn't know how to treat these guys. We will get to you, attention hog. We will get to you, okay?
What's crazy is it sort of sounds like my poodle.
Here, this is a northern elephant seal, probably about a year to 2 years old. Came in, you can see the wound on the right side of the cheek, probably from a cookie cutter shark. And this animal's full grown, it's going to be around 6,000 pounds.
You
are so beautiful. I can't.
So believe it or not,
stand
this
it.
animal and some of the sea lions that you've seen are around the same age, but you can just see the different sizes in the species.
Now this is going to go back out into the wild.
Yes, absolutely.
And but oh, look at that face. There's a part of me that just wants to reach in and pet it, but I won't.
Well, especially
But I
the older ones.
really do. I'm just like going, ah,
He's looking at me. He's like, hello.
Now, to your point earlier though about the point of the program is that when you get to the point where species get really down to the really low critical numbers, like the vaquita is right now, we're 96 living vaquita left.
What's a vaquita?
The vaquita is one of the smallest dolphin species here in South America. We've known for a long time that they're critically endangered. The numbers are now below 100. Latest count is 96 dolphins left. So those are numbers. When you get down to those numbers, you have, if you want to save the species, you have to be hands-on. You have to get in there. You have to. Every individual starts to count.
Of course.
And
who
the
has
likelihood.
the knowledge to do that?
Not the lay individual. Not somebody who's going to build a pen in their backyard.
Ultimately, when
The
it gets
receptacle.
critical, it's up to choose another area.
Because this is the receptacle for species genes, impulse, semen.
To help the vaquita, what we can do really is only effectively as consumers, and I think we need to figure out too, as consumers, the choices we make are affecting these animal species, because what's affecting the vaquita right now is the fishermen and the gill nets down in the Sea of Cortez where they're found. So if you buy shrimp, do not buy shrimp that has been fished in Mexico, because there are fishermen in Mexico that fish legally, and there are fishermen in Mexico that fish illegally, and that affects the vaquita. Unfortunately, the shrimp is not labeled. You cannot
can't
tell
tell
the
which.
difference. But being Americans, being consumers, we can have big effects on how people and organizations run their laws and their fisheries.
We're gonna get let's make it easier for people. If we're gonna get shrimp, where do you suggest we get it from?
U.S. U.S.
From the
fish shrimp.
United
Yes,
States
United
shrimp.
States fish shrimp.
Look
Yes,
on
and
the
it'll say
label.
dolphin safe on it.
It'll say dolphin safe. Dolphin safe tuna, dolphin safe shrimp.
Do you want to see some of the sea lions that we got? Let's go over to the other side. We'll see some of the sea lions.
Oh, we're going to see sea
Yeah.
lions.
You're an attention hog, and you need to. It's like I'm the only elephant still here. You need to look at me. Make sure it doesn't want to make sure
And
there's
the
no hog.
reason that elephant suit was brought in was because of what happened on the side of his face.
Yeah, it was underweight, and then the wounds are healing, but Dr. Nolan can speak to it. Basically, the entire side of its face had a big shark bite out of it, and the back end, the hip area. We do not spit on our guests. We're gonna follow those guys. We're gonna follow Richie and Robert.
I hear the Star Spangled Banner being played.
this real quick.
Oh.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us on this episode of Animal Magnetism. And don't forget, in 2 weeks, we continue our exclusive behind-the-scenes tour of SeaWorld. You don't want to miss it, so please join us. Thanks. See you then.